So this is first problem of Codeforces round 651. Uh, so the problem basically asked A is less than B. So we have to choose any two numbers A and B in the range of 1 to n so that the GCD of A and B, which is those two numbers, will be the maximum value. So the first thing is, what is GCD? So let me tell you. GCD is nothing but the greatest number that divides both of these numbers A and B. So for example, suppose you have 6 and 3. Its GCD will be 3. Yeah, correct. So GCD will be 3. One more example, like 8 and 6. What will be the GCD? Here GCD will be equal to 2 because 2 is the greatest common divisor of both 8 and 6. So when we have the input n, which is given, if you read the problem in input format, uh, so suppose I have input as 5. Now I have to choose any two numbers from 1 to 5 such that the GCD of those two numbers will be maximum. Uh, what are the options we have? I can choose 4 and 5, and the GCD will be, what will be the GCD? Yeah, 1, because 1 is the greatest common divisor here. And we can choose 5 and 5. Can we? No, actually we can't, because it has been given already that we have to choose the number such that A is less than B. If it was A is less than or equal to B, then we will simply choose the n, and n will give the highest GCD n, so that will not be a problem. But here we have to choose two distinct numbers. In this case, I can choose 2 and 4, and the GCD will be 2. You can try the other variations and you will find that this is the maximum value that you can get. So what cases arise here? There will be two cases. If you try it with some other examples, the first one will be when the input n is odd, for example 3 or 5, etc. The other will be when n is even, for example 4 or 8. If you solve some examples, you will find that a even number, will have the maximum GCD with itself and then with the half of itself. So for example, if you want to find the maximum GCD of 8, obviously it will have the maximum GCD with itself, which is 8. But since we can't take the same two numbers here, the maximum GCD it will have with its half, which is 8 and 4, and the GCD here will be 4. Similarly, if we take the n is equal to 10, the maximum GCD it will produce with the pair 10 and half of it, which is 5, and the GCD will be 5. So you can observe that with n is even, we just have to find n by 2, that's it, and that will be our answer. But what if n is odd? Because if n is odd, for example n equal to 5, we can't really divide it in by 2 because that will produce two decimal numbers. So what can we do here? You can see n equal to 5 is a prime number, so we can't take this. With this, it will always produce a GCD of 1, since we can't take 5 and 5. So what we can do here is we can subtract 1 from it, So n will be 4, and we can take the pair as 4 and 2, and this will produce the maximum GCD of 2. Similarly, if we take n equal to 9, the maximum GCD will be produced with the pair 8 and half of 8, which is 4, and the GCD will be 4. So we can make a conclusion here that if n is odd, which means n modulus 2 is not equal to 0, then the answer will be n minus 1 upon 2. Else, which means if n is even, then the answer is simply n by 2. So let's implement this in Java. I will import the required libraries here. And if this is your first program in Java, we can use a scanner for taking inputs. So what is the input format? While solving a problem, first you have to check the format. Here the first line contains a single integer t. The range is up to 100, so it can be saved in int. Okay, so first let's declare an int here. This is how you take an integer input. Now I have to use a loop here because our program will run t times, and every time I will take an input a single integer n whose range is up to 10 to the power 6. Again, we can use int here because int can cover up to 10 to the power 9, so that should not be a problem here. Now I just have to check if n modulus 2 equal to 0, then I will just print, and this is how you print output. And println changes the line after printing the output, so we have to print the output in next lines, as we can see here. This will work for us. So if n is even, what will we print? We will just print n by 2. And else we'll simply print n minus 1 upon 2. So let's give the input here. Let's run this program. So the output is 1 and 2, which is correct for the given test cases. So let's try to submit this code. So it's running out, and you can see it's accepted. So congratulations, you just solved your first program in Java.